Welcome to the More Life, Less Drama podcast with mindset expert and master executive coach, Prue Sulicic, who will teach you how to finish your first goal and then every goal using her simple, proven formula. If you're ready to live more life, have more fun, and reach your potential with less drama, you're in the right place.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of More Life, Less Drama, where we're all about creating less drama in our lives so we can have a fantastic life. And I know you're here with me because that's exactly what you want. You are sick of dealing with the things coming at you all the time and you think you're like a magnet for drama. But instead, you want to believe and step into the person who doesn't attract drama. And as we all know, that starts with us. You are here for those reasons, and I am here 100% to support you in that. I know myself that I live that way in my life all the time. I naturally live like that, and I realize that it's not a natural thing that people have very often. So I'm here just to share with you how I show up in the world and what helps and supports me to live a life without all the drama and just to focus on a beautiful, calm, serene life. Of course, there are always things that do pop up, but it's how you handle those things that make all the difference. In today's episode, I am going to do a reflection piece with you. And as you know, if you have listened to the podcast throughout all the episodes, I shared with you my goals early on in the year, or was it late last year? One of the two. And one of those goals was a no spend goal. It was goal number 2, and the no spend goal was a 3-month goal. It was from the 1st of January to the 31st of March, and it was to not spend money on non-essentials. And so today I want to actually walk through with you the evaluation of that, how that went, what were the challenges for me, and what I just took away from it, how it has made me different as a person that really supports the type of life that I do want to live. So we're going to dive straight into it. And if you're thinking that this looks and feels a little bit different today, like the audio and the visuals, it's most probably because it is. And that is something that I'm just overcoming at this point in time. But I was determined to get a podcast episode out to you this week because last week I actually missed one, which I really don't like doing, but I just didn't have the capacity to figure out the tech. And this week I do. So I'm going with it and we're just going to see how it plays out. The original intention behind the 3-month of no spending wasn't because of a scarcity mindset and that I was pinching pennies, which might be the one reason that you think is why I would do something like this. Well, firstly, I kept seeing it on social media and I'm like, it's actually a really cool way to test the limits of your mental strength and resilience, and the idea of desire driving you to do things that you don't really want and you don't really need. And so the idea was that I don't need a lot of stuff. Like, my thought is that I have everything I need already and I am overspending to fulfill a need and to make me feel a certain way. And I just know that I didn't need that. And so I was firstly curious about how I would handle a no spend. And secondly, it was about just figuring out what I want in life and who I want to be. So, and that really comes down to spending habits as well. Like, spending habits is a big part of who you are and who you want to become. And so, I was just curious to know what that would look like for me. And I also knew that I had an abundance of everything. I have an abundance of clothes. I have abundance of shoes, as my kids will tell you. And I have an abundance of makeup and beauty supplies and all that sort of stuff. And if you know me personally, you'll know that I am a person that really despises clutter, and clutter gives me a tick. It makes me feel so agitated and uncomfortable, and I really love clean and tidy and clutter-free spaces and organized spaces. And when you have too much of this stuff, what happens is your space cannot be organized and cleaned and clutter-free because there's just too much of it. So I'm constantly in a decluttering mode, and I thought this is a perfect opportunity to not bring anything into the house that I don't need. And this went for kids as well. I didn't set the rule for the kids, but it sort of has filtered out to them anyway. As the leader of the household, which is me, and I bet it's also you, the leader of your household, you sort of set the standard for things. Your energy sets the standard, as well as what you're doing or not doing also sets the standard. And even if you're not saying things, it sort of does filter out and ripple out to your family members. So that was really the purpose behind it. So what the goal looked like for me was not spending on anything that wasn't necessary. So I, of course, am still spending money on running my household, feeding everybody, as much as I don't want to do that. But, necessary evil when you have a human body and you have a family. So we were still spending money on all that type of stuff, but we just weren't buying anything that wasn't needed. If we could make do with what we had, we would make do with what we had. I wasn't buying any new beauty products until it was necessary. So I have a stack of stuff in the cupboard that I've been using that I had stored away, and I just knew that I needed to use all that stuff up because, again, the clutter and the mess, my under the sink in my bathroom always stresses me out. There's way too much stuff in there, but it all feels necessary. So I've got to just get rid of all the stuff that is like in bulk. And so I wasn't buying any beauty products unless I needed it. So if I ran out of moisturizer, if I didn't have a backup, I would then buy that. The same went for clothes and shoes and all that sort of stuff. Really, like I said, I have an abundance of clothes and shoes and everything that comes to dressing myself, and so I didn't need anything. Yes, some things I would like, as we all do, like we all have a desire to buy new clothes. And my thoughts about clothes are that you do outgrow things. You do need to update your wardrobe. You can't just have the same things forever because they do wear out, they get smelly, they get stained. You don't feel comfortable in them anymore, you grow out of them. And so it is important to buy new clothes. But at this point in time for my life, I have so many clothes and I don't really need anything to get by. I can just wear what I've got already and I don't need to buy anything. Of course, there are things that I do want to buy. But that was a hard no on any clothes, any shoes, anything like that, personal stuff. And that was a real game changer for me, for sure. What else? So I also allowed for things like date nights with my husband that are pre-planned, so I can still do that. I'm still allowing for takeaways. I'm not like getting super Scroogey and going, no, we're not having any takeaways or other types of food. I did keep it to a minimum because I do realize sometimes I can fall into a bad habit of just buying takeaway when I've got food in the fridge that needs to be used. That is a whole other goal because there is another goal that I'm doing that actually has shopping and buying food daily, which has been an interesting one. And I possibly could do a podcast on that as well because that has been a huge difference actually in my family life, and it's still playing out at the moment. We were allowed to have takeaways. We could still have our date nights. If there are emergencies, we could always spend money on things like that. So overall, it was just essentials only. The next step is the system. So we need to figure out how to track it. And I used a daily checklist for this. It's like, did I achieve the no spend goal today? Yes or no? Tick it if I did. Don't tick it if I didn't. It was a spreadsheet. That was all I did. And it's also bunched with a heap of other daily habits as well that I've got going on. So it was just like looking at this spreadsheet. Sometimes it was daily, but other times it was once a week and going back going, oh no, or yes, and ticking them off all at once. So that's how I knew what I was achieving and what I wasn't. And the finish line for this goal was the end date, the 31st of March, and all I had to do was cross the line of the 31st of March and have completed all those daily tick boxes to know what I did achieve or what I didn't. So into the fun part. That's all the boring stuff. It's like what the boundaries were, what the system was for tracking it. That is really important to know when you have any goal that you're deciding to go after. But let's now do the evaluation together. So the evaluation is the most important part of any goal. It's when you cross the finish line of your goal, especially if there's an end date to it, like the 31st of March, you cross the finish line and you sit down and you think, okay, what worked? What didn't work? What can I do differently if I was to do it again? And first of all, in this evaluation, it's important to understand what I did spend money on. So out of the however many days, 30, 60, 90, 92 days, no, 91 days, I think, is between the 31st of January and the 31st of March, whatever it is, I only had one box unticked. There was only one day out of all those days that I spent money on what wasn't necessary. And this is the breakdown for you. It's an easy breakdown. It was one thing. So I have been still like actively going out. Like sometimes I go with the kids shopping, and I also go out to look as well in the shops. It's something that I like to do. And I was shopping with the girls one day, and over the last 12 months, I've wanted a pair of shoes, a pair of those ballerina flats. And I had tried on a heap last year and didn't find a pair that suited me or fit me or looked nice or I liked. And so it was just on my list of desires that I wanted. Anyway, so we're in a particular shop and we were all trying on lots of stuff, and there was a pair of shoes exactly like I would like there. And so I tried them on, thinking to myself, I'll get them after the 31st of March, because it's still important if you've got things on your list that you would like to try them on and figure out if they are for you or not, and sit and think about them. Anyway, so I tried them on. They were absolutely perfect. They fit my foot like a glove, and I loved the colour, loved the fit, loved the style. And then I got chatting to the sales lady, and she was telling me how they usually sell out these types of things, and I was like, okay, interesting. And so I just sort of sat on it for a while, and then I made a decision. I was like, you know what? These are the perfect thing that I really want to complement my wardrobe, and it's something that I've been thinking about for a while, and if I wait to the 31st of March, I will miss out on them. And so it wasn't scarcity that got me spending. It was actually really intentional. I was like, you know what? I'm going to break my no spend rule. I'm going to buy these shoes and I'm going to be happy with them. And so I did. So I bought the shoes. They were exactly $100, which, look, if you're a shoe girl, you know that a $100 pair of shoes is a pretty cheap pair of shoes. So I was really happy with the price. And yeah, I walked out of there without any guilt from that purchase. And yeah, still to this day, I'm very happy with that purchase. I've worn my shoes, you know, I'm happy with my shoes, have not thought, I shouldn't have bought the shoes. It felt really intentional. It felt very calculated by me. And as it turns out, the shoes have sold out prior to the 31st of March, because I was in the shop, I think I was in there Saturday, and I was trying some stuff on for the future me, and I talked about the shoes, and she said, oh no, they sold out a month ago. That made my decision even better. So yeah, sometimes you just have to break it for the things that are important to you. So again, really happy with my choice to break my no spend rule for that one day, and that's what my whole 91 days looked like of my no spend. It's not to say though that I did not get tempted, because I did. Absolutely, I got tempted a few times. I still had a lot of desire to spend money in January, because it's just like a habit. You know, you buy stuff, you feel good, that type of habit. And so in January, I didn't spend anything, but I think it was in early February that I knew my daughter was looking for a pair of shoes. Again, it's a shoe thing. Must have a shoe fetish. And I saw this perfect pair of shoes for her. And it was one of those cheaper shoe shops. And so I went in there and I tried these boots on and I took a photo. I said, hey, these are perfect for what you want. Do you want me to get them for you? She's paying me back, so it's not me spending. And so she was like, yes, please grab the shoes. Anyway, if you know these shops, they always have buy one pair and get the second pair half price. Anyway, so I was tempted. Actually, I was more than tempted because I bought a pair of shoes for half the price, $20 they cost me. And they were just a flat pair of black slides. And I didn't need them at all. So I bought them. I left the shop. I had that immediate sense of, why did I do that? I really wish I didn't do that. But the desire and the dopamine hit from buying something took over in the moment. And so once I left the shop, I was like, oh no. I do not need these shoes. Like, these are not shoes that I want to break my no spend on. If I'm going to break it, I would like to break it on a pair of shoes that I really loved and were a bit more better quality. And so I went home, I told my husband about it, and I was like, but I'm going to take them back tomorrow. And so the next day I took them back. It wasn't about the money, it's $20. It was about who I wanted to be. And who I want to be is not having the desire, like the high desire for something, and immediately following through on that, like the instant gratification of purchasing something that you don't really need. When I took them back, I just felt a huge sense of relief. I was like, that felt really good. I can keep my word, because this is a big part of the process, is about keeping your word to yourself, and that felt really good. So that's what tempted me. Other things that tempted me were things like crystals. I went crystal shopping with my beautiful friend Donna Lee, and I remember walking around thinking, I would love so many of these crystals. They are just gorgeous. Anyway, I had my eye on one. She put one in the pile because I was like, you know what? It was such a good price as well. And I was like, okay, I'm willing to pay that money and have that beautiful crystal, which is currently sitting on my desk. Oh, and this is the funny part too. I had said out loud, I'm really willing to break my no spend if it's something that I really love and am drawn to, and it's like 70% off. Anyway, this crystal was 70% off. And like, how often do you see 70% off? Never. So I was like, it's a sign. So I was like, I'm just going to have that one. So I put it on the table with Donna Lee's things. Turns out my beautiful friend bought it for me. So I didn't even have to spend the money on it. And yeah, so thankful for that gorgeous gift of this gorgeous crystal from my friend that will forever remain one of those pieces for me. I'll look at it and I'll remember this day. So that was the second thing I was tempted at. Turned out well. But I was also tempted at things like a heap of clothes. You know, when I was shopping, I was like, will this still be here if I want it? But I managed to talk myself off the cliff a few times for clothes, because it's like, I don't need it. I have everything I need. That was the thought that kept bringing me back to myself of, you don't need this, Prue. You have everything you need. You have a full wardrobe full of clothes that you look great in, that you feel great in. And this is keeping the promise to yourself. So I had lots of temptation for clothes. I actually had lots of temptation for books as well. Like, I love books. Yes, I do go to the library, but I also love buying books and having them on my bookshelf. And I did have an allowance inside my goal that I was allowed to buy one book, and that one book was the Mel Robbins Let Them Theory. Turns out I couldn't even get my hands on it, this particular book, in the course of time. The only time I saw it was on Monday, the 31st of March, at the airport, when I was dropping Joel off to head back to Broken Hill and picking up Stella from Adelaide. And that was the only time I saw that book in the physical form to buy. And even though I knew I could purchase that book on that day, I was still like, no, I'm just going to wait. I don't need that book just yet. I've still got other things going on. I still have a whole bookshelf of books to read. So anyway, I can get that book later. So as I said, plenty of times that I was tempted to buy things, but the grounding thought of like, I am abundant with what I have already was really helping me just stay connected to my goal. Because at times it was hard not to spend. But I tell you what, the further along and the longer I stayed in the no spend, the easier it got. I have come out of it now and I'm still in the mindset of I'm so abundant. There are things on my list that I have gathered over the last couple of months that I would like, because I'm working on really dressing my body to be the person that I am, not the person that I think I should be or people know me as. And so this is a challenge all on its own. And it's going to be a podcast that I'm going to put out over the next few weeks. Not sure when that's going to happen. I was going to put it out this week, but it just didn't feel done yet. And so I'm thinking it might be my 100th episode of the podcast, the Alter Ego podcast. So stay tuned for that. That will be fun. But it is about dressing for my inner person, not the person that I have been, but more for the person that I am now and want to be in the future. So there's that part as well. A big part of that as well, and a big part of the no spend, was the drive of simplicity and the ease that simplicity brings. So when you have a really clear idea of who you are and what you wear and how you show up, then dressing yourself is really a lot easier. And also, like I said, going back to the space not being cluttered and having organization and not having clutter. Because, like I said, clutter to me is the biggest enemy of calm and clarity. So really leaning into those is really important. And over this time, I have spent time decluttering a lot of things, particularly my wardrobe, in preparation for really stepping into the new version of me and this birthing the alter ego in me. I have spent a lot of time doing that, and I've currently got all my clothes in my wardrobe. I did have 2 containers in the garage that were winter clothes, and I've pulled them all out. And my friend is having a car boot sale thing for clothes in a couple of months, and I was like, good, I'm going to start gathering all my old stuff and decluttering all the clothes that don't feel great for me, and I'm going to put them in that sale. And do you know what else I have noticed as a big win as well? The longer I stayed in the no spend, the more space that I had internally for just other things, rather than thinking about what I desire, what things I want to buy. Because I realized I spent a lot of time over the last, 27 years thinking about what I want to buy. And it can be really distracting and take up a lot of mental space. And it's one thing that I noticed about myself over these last 27 years that has been really strong, and that's willingness to always be improving and wanting to buy stuff. And the truth is, at 47, I just don't need anything else, and I need less than I need more. And so the clarity and the space in my mind has increased because of this goal. And so how can this goal be helpful for you? So if you're thinking, I would really like to do this myself, but why would I do it? And I would highly recommend giving this a go too, even if you're someone that doesn't consume a lot. Maybe it's just the space from thinking about consuming is going to be the biggest thing and the biggest win for you. That's the first point. It supports the idea that you can feel desire and not always follow through. And this will ripple out to other areas of your life as well. So desire for shopping can be one thing, desire for food, desire for alcohol, desire for binging Netflix. It can be all things that you desire and you give yourself the instant gratification of fulfilling that desire. So the biggest thing, if you do this, it can help you ease that and learn delayed gratification. And delayed gratification can be your best friend when achieving goals and changing your life for the better. The second thing is it makes you feel so much more in control of your life. And in a world of 24/7 marketing, when we're always being sold to, it can actually help you feel more in control of your life and more in control of your decisions and more in control of how you show up in the world. So that's always a great thing, don't you think? Back to the desire thing, it's also a great time to really evaluate what you actually desire and why. And why this is a good thing is most people are in just habitual habits around how they show up in the world and what they desire and what they want, and even continuing to choose the same goal even if it's not something that's working for them. So this is a great time to really reflect on what you actually want in life. It will give you the space, it'll give you the time and the clarity that you need to focus on that, and you might be surprised at what comes out. It might be completely different to what you thought you always wanted. So that's another great benefit of doing a challenge like this. And the last thing that a no spend goal can do for you is it can create an understanding about where your cash is being spent. Money is purely an energy exchange, and a lot of people have a lot of fear around money and the scarcity mindset around money. So doing a no spend will allow you to evaluate where you're spending your money and where you have been spending it and where you'd like to spend it in the future. It's not about pinching pennies and being really Scroogey. It's about having awareness of it. And if you're not afraid of opening up your bank account and seeing the figure in your bank account because you know exactly where it's all going and exactly what's going on, you won't have that fear around it. You'll be able to step into more of an abundance mindset, and you'll have control over the results of your money. So that is really a great thing that would happen if you decide to go ahead and do a goal like this, like a no spend goal. And yeah, it also will build your confidence. It will build your confidence in decision making to start with. It'll help you let go of the just in case stuff, the scarcity of like, I better just grab that just in case. It'll also have you noticing how often you spend from your emotional body, not the practical body, and choosing where you want to spend your money. You'll also feel more grounded and you'll feel lighter. I absolutely 100% feel lighter, and you'll just feel more like you because you've got more space to think about what you want to show up like, how you want to dress, what things you want to bring into your home. And so you will definitely feel a lot lighter because of that. There are so many benefits. So I highly recommend you giving this a go. It doesn't have to be for 3 months like mine was. It could be for 1 month to start with. Maybe increase it and see if you can just do 1 month at a time. But yeah, it's something that I'm going to continue in my life. I've definitely adopted the whole idea of not just in case stuff, not buying things just in case. I want to live a quite minimal, simplistic, calm, clutter-free life, and I want to have clothes in my wardrobe that really represent me and who I am now, not somebody that I used to be. And I know this process has allowed me to do that. If you're interested in listening to the episode about this alter ego and the rebirth of my new identity, I will put it out in the future, most likely at episode 100. This is episode 94, so we've got a few episodes before that, but I will definitely let you know if it comes sooner. So to do that, make sure you follow me on social media, on Instagram at Coach Prue, or Facebook at Coach Prue, or friend me on Facebook, Prue Sulisich, and all the details will be listed there. And for now, just go out and figure out if this is for you, if this is something that would be beneficial for you. And I really hope that this episode has helped just open your eyes up to what I did spend money on, why it was important to me, and how it can be important to you. Okay, my friends, that's it. I really hope you enjoyed this episode because I know I enjoyed creating it, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.